So I've gotten compliments about her, about her folds, about the detail that she has. And even somebody stopped me recently and was like, what I see in your, I'm not a big fan of tattoos. She was an older lady, and she was like, but your tattoo reminds me of a loved one that passed away. And I was like, dang, like, cool, man. I'll pass that along. Like, I really appreciate that. And she was like, yeah, every time I look at, your tattoo's face of the angel, like I really see like such and such or such and such. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool that it gives you kind of hope, I hope.
Yeah.
Because that's really what the tattoo is supposed to symbolize, is hope.
We're back to another episode of the IQ Project. My name is Josh. I'm right here with my co-host, Ricky Tat.
Yo, what it is.
And our special guest, Freddie.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. So before we get started again, a little sponsor today by Iconic Tattoo Studio for all your tattoos needs. Please contact us on iconic_tattoo studio on Instagram. See, that's us.
Yeah, that's pretty smooth, man. That's pretty smooth. Not bad. You've done that before?
Yeah.
All right.
I practiced that in the mirror like 30 times.
I like it. Yeah. I like it.
All right. So let me get a little backstory behind our guest right here, Freddie. Freddie's actually one of my collectors. We worked on his outside of his sleeve for his first tattoo 2 days, right?
Yeah, back to back. Thursday and Friday.
23 and a half hours of pain and pleasure for him.
Yeah, honestly, the second one.
One?
Yeah. It was like I didn't really feel anything on that one.
Yeah.
You weren't kidding when you were like, yeah, it's not gonna feel like anything. I was like, all right, cool. Yeah. I was like, is it in? You're like, it's in.
Well, we didn't waste no time.
Yeah, we got. Well, it took us about a month process, right, before you came in here.
Yeah, so, it was actually a really cool process for me. But yeah, about a month. We were just chit chatting about it. Came in, did the whole consultation, and then reeled me in. And you're like, "This is how much it's gonna be." I was like, "I'm already committed." Yeah. So but yeah, about a month, get in there and get to tattooing.
Yeah. So we're working on a whole sleeve with him. We did the first 2 days. We got one cleanup session for the outside, and then we start working on the inside.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to want to do 2 days again, but.
I think I do, though. Yeah. I think that's the best way to do it. Like, if you're going to just do it, just come in one day, knock it out, and then come in the next day and knock it out. I say that now, though, because I haven't done the inside yet. Once I do the inside, I'm sure I'm going to be like, hey, hold on, time out.
So for those that haven't done 2 days back to back, what are the pros do you think? Like, what benefits and what are the cons? Obviously, the cons.
I don't know. I think for me, I didn't find a con at all for this. No. I actually had a really good time doing both days. I think the pro to it is the fact that like you get to see the productivity and how fast it can actually be done when you knock it out, right? Like I think people have like the I don't even know what the word would be, but they want it done, right? So it's like, I wish it was done. I wish I would have just sat through. So then just sit through. You know what I mean? And so I trusted Josh, and Josh was like, you can handle it. I'm like, we'll do back-to-back days. And I was like, it's for my first tattoo ever. I was like, hey, bro, like, I don't know. Like, is there anything I should take? Should I? And he was like, no, I got you. And he wasn't wrong. So the whole process was really cool. I can honestly say painless. The only part that I really felt was like the tail end of it. And that was like when we were in the armpit area in the back. Yeah. And that was it. But pros being done with it, for the most part, getting it done in 2 days. And then two, the healing process was really, really cool because it wasn't like you were spacing the healing process. It was just like one solid, like 3 days of healing. Yeah. And then the product.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that because now that I'm recalling like what our clients say, and it's like you're starting a tattoo and you're almost done, and or you put the stencil on, I should say. And they look at it and they're like, man, I wish it was already finished, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now you're by getting 2 days, you actually see it done in such a short time. And I think that's one of the little pros that can happen by actually committing yourself to 2 days.
Did you end up getting an ink fever?
No, actually I didn't. I think because I finally hit a point where like the tattoo had meaning. Like, that's why I waited so long to get the tattoo. And so I guess because the tattoo had meaning, it was more like, all right, cool. Like, we're doing this, and the fact that like you sold me on like your personality, and also you also sold me on like, hey, I got this tattoo. I know I can knock this out of the park for you. Mm-hmm. So initially when I saw the stencil, I was like, cool. all right. And I finally found
with the happy face.
Yeah, with the happy face. It was Jesus with the happy face. I'm sure that, pop a picture of it or whatever. But yeah, it was initially seeing the stencil and then understanding like I solely trust Josh. Like Josh is gonna knock this out of the park. And so,
do you think that's a big factor when, because see, we're always talking like as artists to collectors. Now, there's a good chance to get to know your opinion. The fact that he was so convicted on, or is that the proper word? His conviction.
Yeah.
He was just so sure that he can get you what you wanted. Is that something that you kind of like, that you admire, kind of like, what's the word?
Gravitated towards?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the personality.
Yeah. I think what it really was the fact of like he wanted to know the story of it. And so when I came here for the consult, right, I'd been searching for an artist and for a shop for probably like almost like a year.
Oh,
like
really?
Just like looking around, like who can do this? This is the kind of imagery I want. And then I had, significant life event happen where I was just like, dude, like I really want this done.
Yeah.
And hit up artists, emailed artists, nothing. When I finally walked into this shop, which I got a hold of this shop from my nephew who got a cover up done by you. And I came in and he was the first one that was like, hey, like, what's up? I'm almost done. Give me like 15 minutes. I'm going to clean up my spot. I can make time for you.
Yeah.
Now, when he said, I can make time for you, I was like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, seems legit. And we sat down. I gave him the imagery, and it wasn't like, oh yeah, I can knock out these statues, and yeah, we can place this.
Yeah.
It was more like, well, why this, and why that,
yeah,
and what's this mean?
He was almost interviewing you.
Yeah. Like why should like not realistic, like why should I do this tattoo, but like make me excited to do the tattoo.
Yeah.
And once I gave him the story, he was like, yeah, okay, let's do this. And I was like, all right, let's get it. So that's when it really like clicked for me to be like, all right, cool. And then also being able to sit there and he'd take his time, on his computer or on his tablet. And he was just like, yeah, let's look up this. No, I'm not feeling that. What about this? Oh, I'll keep this for another tattoo. Like little things that we were doing throughout that whole thing. And I draw too. I like to draw. So for me, I was like, this is just two people collabing at this point. It's not just like make this tattoo look great. I want a tattoo.
Yeah.
It was just, hey, like let's collab. Let's see what we can do. And let's see how we can make this work. To the point where like he got to earn the trust of like, hey bro, if you see something and you want to flow with it, just flow. And I'm like, all I want is those images. If you think that you want to flow with something more filigree, cool. If you want to throw some lightning bolts, cool. If whatever. If you would have wanted to put a rubber ducky in there, I probably would have been like, all right, cool.
He likes butterflies, dude.
Oh, mariposas. All right, okay.
But you highlighted a very good point that I'm glad you said, dude. It's like we do make the effort to, show the clients that we actually want you to get the best. You know what I'm saying? And I think you understood that when Josh was talking to you and asking you those right questions, and you felt like he was all in on this subject matter with you on this project, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, I think that nowadays tattoo artists gotta go to that level to build a relationship with an artist like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because you're right. A lot of you could have went to another shop and they're gonna be like, yeah, we could do that. It's this amount,
right?
And you're like, well, do what? You know what I'm saying? I gave you the images. You're just saying yes. Show me some investment of your time or interest,
right?
That will assure me that you can do this project.
You gotta take care of the canvas.
Yeah. We came back. We met up twice, right, before your tattoo.
Yeah.
And the second time we actually mocked it up on your arm. To make sure everything was gonna fit just right,
which I definitely recommend doing.
Yeah,
I think I didn't know that wasn't like an uncommon practice, but being my first tattoo, obviously I did things a little unorthodox, went full on the whole outside, But I definitely recommend that. Like if you're gonna come in and get something big done, like come in like a week before and talk to your artist and be like, hey, let's mock this up real quick. So when we come in, it's all business.
Yeah,
and luckily that's what happened. We just put on that proton. And then couldn't get it off
like 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times having to re-stencil it, but it came out. So the other cool part too was the fact that asking everybody in the shop for their opinion.
Yeah,
like what do you guys think? We
tend to pass, share the ideas around just to make sure. Yeah, I remember in your situation,
Went
I had
bigger.
suggested to go bigger, right?
Yeah, because
On
we
the
had
area?
her smaller,
Yeah.
where her
the
head was
angel?
gonna be in here,
Uh-huh.
and everybody was like, "You guys got to just go big, just
Yeah.
get it," which it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh. Shoot, no, that's cool, man. It looks dope. Definitely, it's big and it tells a story. You know.
yeah, definitely. It's definitely something that I definitely enjoy owning. I mean, and I've gotten nothing but compliments. I've gotten compliments about her, about her folds, about the detail that she has.
Mhm.
And even somebody stopped me recently and was like, you know what I see in your, I'm not a big fan of tattoos. She's an older lady, and she was like, but your tattoo reminds me of a loved one that passed away. And I was like, dang, like, cool, man. I'll pass that along. Like, I really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, every time I look at, your tattoo's face of the angel, like I really see like such and such or such and such. And I was like, all right, well, that's cool that it gives you kind of hope, I hope.
Yeah.
Because that's really what the tattoo is supposed to symbolize, is hope.
Yeah. So, is there anything like, I know you don't have to say anything you don't want to, but
Yeah.
like maybe you want to give us a little backstory of how we're talking about it when we first came in.
Yeah. So I've gone through a lot of like mental health things, myself, between like self-doubt or depression, you name it, right? Like I've kind of probably gone through that part of it. So this really took a stand for me, because at this point, like, I've always tried to get things done on my time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always tried to like push the envelope. And obviously when you push the envelope on things, like, you either fall short of like a success, or you become part of the success. And either way, like, it's never the time that you want it to come. It just does show up, right? After hard work, after, persistence. So the clock actually represents a time in the Bible, of a Bible verse, Psalm 31:15, which is about talking about God's time, not my time. In your time, deliver me from my enemies, and pretty much watch me prosper, right? It's never like, hey, on my time I'm gonna get delivered from all that stuff. It's like, whenever you see that my faith is right, like, you're gonna get me to the next part.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took that along with a lot of like the things that I've dealt with, right? Like, the depression, a lot of the stuff that I went through as like a kid, growing up a certain type of way, seeing a lot of stuff that maybe not a lot of folks get to see.
Right.
You carry that with you. But it wasn't until like I hit a certain point where I was like, man, like, I really need help with this. And that's when I started like, seeking therapy and talking to people about their mental health, and how real it is that you're not alone to battle that. Now, you do have a responsibility though, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got to look for that too. You got to like stay persistent with looking for bettering yourself.
Mm.
And so that was like a big thing behind the clock and the time. And then, following up the tattoo, we can go on, I guess, on more examples of
Tapping into that mental health thing.
Yeah.
You said that you got to put work into it as well. It's not a one-time thing. You don't just take a pill and right.
No, yeah.
And I'm hearing that more often, dude. I'm hearing that more often, especially in the podcast we listen to, and just in the conversations we have with our clients. Like, it seems like it's coming out more and it's being spoken more, which I'm assuming it's happened, throughout history. Everybody has mental health, but we don't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And it just seems like now people are willing to speak about it, and bring that to light.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. And
it's crazy, dude.
I feel like it's one of those things too, where like nobody wants to be seen as like a crazy person, right? Like, oh, I'm suicidal, or oh, this or that or the other. But
it's also cultural though.
Yeah.
Like, being Mexican, there's no mental health. It's like, suck it up and move on.
Get on with it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, we also see a rise in suicide rates, and especially in kids now. Like, man, like, there's a lot of kids that are just struggling, and because of that same mentality, like, no, you're just sad, get over it. It's like, yeah, okay, he is though, or she is though, but like, you can still check on them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you can still like figure out a way to help. Now, you also got to have like an ear to help, and I think that the best people that are helping those with that struggle with mental health are people that have gone through it. And you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you find the empathy behind helping somebody else that's gone through something because you've already gone through it. And so that's, for me at least, that's kind of like why I tell the story on my arm, because I've actually met a lot of new people in my life now where they've asked me, and I've been just very open about like, oh, this means, such and such with other examples that I give. And they open up right away like, oh, dude, like I've been struggling with depression for blah, 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 and
No way.
and you're just like, oh yeah, no worries. Well, hey, you're not alone. Like, what's up? Like, you need to talk. And you see like sometimes like you see their eyes open up like, yeah, I do need to talk. Like, cool. And for some reason they open up to a stranger.
Yeah.
And it's like, because it's easier to tell a stranger like, hey,
That's
like,
someone you love.
yeah, like, hey, like I'm feeling super dark. And
Yeah.
you're like, okay, well, how do I help you? I don't know. Just listen. Cool. Well, I'm going to check in on you then. And you come into that check-in point and, you start to become part of like the solution, hopefully, to helping them find a place of peace. A lot of people out there walking around with it.
That's crazy, dude. As you're talking right now, I'm reminded yesterday I was drawing right last night and I was watching some podcasts, and there was a podcast that was interviewing this influencer that was big in the like 10 years ago. Well, Ty Lopez, Ty Lopez is the guy with the Lamborghini. Mm-hmm. Well, anyways, I didn't know this. He was telling his life story, but the point is that he said that he lived with the Amish for 2 years.
Okay.
And he saw in the Amish that depression, like does not really exist in his community, where he lived with them.
Right.
For some reason, he was able to live with them for 2 years just to learn how they, just curiosity.
Whittling wood.
And yeah. And all that stuff, right? But he says that with the Amish, the families were all happy. Mm-hmm. They were never like, depression didn't exist in them. And the rate of them being more happy was higher than the normal community that we like in the urban cities, right?
Well, yeah, they don't have the influence.
Yeah. And he said he attested that to just they live simple lives and there's not a lot of pressures, and that even the little kids, when they're young, they're not crying. They're just like more, it was the weirdest thing. Even they don't cry. They're just more somber, more like just more chill, not somber, but more chill. And I don't know how that reflects to depression and everything, but he was saying that if you live a simpler life like the Amish do, maybe we have too much pressures going on, and that's what causes like depression and all that stuff, So it's interesting to hear your point of view.
But also, I think it goes back to with how you were saying, like the things we go through growing up as well.
Yeah.
Like I know Amish probably don't go through as much as one kid in the hood goes through,
Yeah. Or even a kid in a rich family. Yeah. You think about it that way, like you meet some of these, well-off kids that they don't subscribe to some of the things that their parents do. You know what I mean? They're just like, yo, like, I'm just doing this because it's part of my family. Like, I'd rather go live like a kid in the hood.
Right.
And go just chill and enjoy my weekends as opposed to cramming these books or whatever, That's but true. You're not being true to yourself. And that's when, I think that's like when you finally break the depression chain, is when you're finally just true to yourself. You know what I mean?
And not doing it for others.
Right. Or like you're caught in this thing of like, I want to make everybody happy, even if it means putting myself second.
I hear it all the time.
100%.
And I think we should be more selfish.
You have to be.
You know what I'm saying?
You have to be, yeah.
And it was the reverse for many years. Oh, we should be giving to everybody. But at the same time, if you're giving to everybody, you have no time for yourself, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's where you find yourself.
Yeah.
Is when you're selfish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And I think we do need to be more selfish for each other so we could be happy, and then in turn pass that happiness out to everybody else.
Oh, for sure.
I have kids, and I try to always tell my son, like, I have a boy and a girl. My son's 9 and my daughter's 8. I try to tell my son, like, talk about your feelings, or if I yell at him, I'm like, look, I yelled at you because I'm talking to him, and I'm expressing myself to you because I'm frustrated, this and that. So I'm giving him the opportunity for him to think, why am I angry? You know what I'm saying? Instead of, oh, you're that's just angry, you know what I'm saying? Or you're just reacting like this. So sometimes we do have to be selfish, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just crazy that you're bringing that up.
Well, I think that communication too between, child and parent. I mean, I grew up, with parents that like yelled at each other, threw stuff at each other. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in like people saw like my dad and my mom, and they're like, oh, like nice people, you know. And like, but behind closed doors, man, like there's a lot more that happens, and that's just not my house. I'm sure that's everybody else's house on the block. You know what I mean? But or wherever the suburb. But yeah, like especially as a kid, I never got to, you know, hey, like I don't like when you guys do that. It was like, hey, like it's okay, we're just mad at each other. It's like that's what you do when you're mad at each other. Then all right, cool. I don't want that for the rest of my life. So I don't now, like I don't like arguing, or even like if I'm dating somebody or whatever, like I won't even do that. I'm like, yo, like I'd rather we just talk about it. Yeah. And if we get to that point where like it's becoming like
where it's just
competition, yeah, I was just like, yo, time out. Like I'll be back, you be back, we'll be back.
Yo,
like,
that's true. Thinking back, like, because I do give permission to my kids to talk about their feelings, and that's true. When we were younger, you would hear the parents yell, and they wouldn't come to us and be like, look, we're arguing because of this. You know, it has nothing to do with you. You're not causing this. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. And as kids, we think we're the maybe, you know, I could see why kids think, oh, they're doing it. They're arguing because of us.
Yeah. Or, maybe if I would have taken out the trash.
Yeah, exactly. Or, but in reality, dad's fucking stressed out because he ain't paying the bills or something. You know what I'm saying? And the mom is just like frustrated maybe because, I don't know, whatever, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
And it has nothing to do with the kid, you know? But there's not that conversation. And that's why I always tell my son, sit down. After like me and my girl argue or something, I bring him over. After we all cool heads prevail, I guess you could say. Yeah. Sit him down on the couch and be like, you guys heard me and mom cussing at each other, right? Yeah. How do you guys feel? Sad. Right. Well, let me tell you, every person argues, you know what I'm saying? And we're just being frustrated. We're building it up, this and that. And so they're like, but it's not because of you guys. Right. You know, this is just what we do.
And I think it's important though.
And it's just like it builds a better relationship. And after that, we're all cool. Like, you know?
Of course, yeah. It's okay to have disagreements, you know what I mean? But especially for like the kids though, like, you know, it's cool that you bring them in and that way they feel like a part of the solution. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, okay, cool. And we're back to.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, they're learning it from when they're younger too.
That's a huge thing.
Because it's a lot harder to learn it by yourself when you're older.
Oh, yeah. Or when you find out when you're older, you're like, oh, dang, it's been years since I should have been talking about this a long time ago. Yeah. You know, like, shoot, you know. So.
That's crazy, though.
Another thing that I remember from our conversations is that you went, I think the biggest one I remember that's like, damn, you're brave and you're fucking beast that you did that was when you went to Oregon. You're camping out.
Oh, yeah,
eating man. Fish you shouldn't be eating.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, man. So I took a job in Oregon, and it's kind of like part of like, I guess, the guardian angel thing. But so I took a job in Oregon like within like a month of getting it. Like, hey, I applied. I went out to Oregon. I went to go do, you know, pretty much like wildland firefighting is what it's called. And I went up there, and I didn't really know anybody. So I ended up buying a tent, and I found a cool spot up there at this lake. It's called Morgan Lake. And I camped out, and I was like, dang, I got no money to buy any food right now. So I'll just fish for my food. So I started throwing my line out there. And so I'm throwing my bait out there, and I'm like catching fish. I'm grilling it up. One of the guys down the way, let me borrow his little Coleman grill. And I'm cooking up these fish, and then all of a sudden these guys are like, hey, what are you eating? And I'm like, I'm eating the trout. They're like, out of Morgan Lake? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, no one eats fish out of there. And I was like, why is that? And they're like, what they're like, well, it used to be a rock quarry, so all that fish is just like, it's bad fish. And I'm like, right. Well, I'll let you know if I grow a tail. So I mean, at this point, like,
yeah, you were eating it already?
Yeah, I was like, I'm already committed, dude. Like at this point, bro. Like, and so I was like, I've ate, you know, at this point, I was like, I mean, whatever, it's free food. And then, yeah, man, that was definitely one of those experiences. But that was another drawback experience too, though, because like to me, like sleeping out of the car wasn't the first time that happened. You know what I mean? Like that happened a couple of times growing up, and then going through EMT school, I lived out of my car and overcame a lot of stuff through that, and even got my EMT through that whole part. Mm-hmm. And then it's kind of how that came about. So
I know we didn't really talk about it, but Freddie right here is a fireman and a paramedic.
Yeah, I do both. So firefighter, paramedic.
Paramedic.
True professional, right?
He was doing that.
Semi. We'll see. Depending on the day.
He was going through school, doing that while living out of his car.
Yeah, man. It was a good time, dude. Yeah, you just gotta overcome and do. That's it, you know. So I got through with with the help of a really, really good friend now. At the time, he was a new friend, but yeah, he caught me in my bed in the back of my car, and he was like, "Hey, man, you sleeping in your car?" And I was like, "Nah, just laying out, just taking naps all the time." And before I knew it, he was like, "All right, come sleep on my couch then." So I was able to do that.
I know I mentioned before the podcast turned on, but about how I've never met a firefighter. I don't know how the life of a firefighter is.
Okay.
But I'm curious, a question I could ask you. Let me know if you want to answer. But do you see a new generation of firefighters coming in, mindset wise, or is it just kind of, or do you go in and then you get culturalized by the way their lifestyle is with the old timers? Because you're a young guy, you know.
Yeah, I'm fairly new to myself. I'm only like 3 years in with my department. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that there is a new mindset for sure.
Yeah.
You have like we're hiring a lot of younger guys. So a lot of like the older traditions aren't really like jiving with the newer dudes. Oh. A lot of like, like the traditional, like, you're the new guy, go do this kind of stuff. It's kind of like tapering down.
More respect now.
I wouldn't call it respect. It's just more or less like it's more like a PC, if you will. Okay. Like it's more like, hey, like we just don't want to offend anybody.
Got it.
But I have noticed that like there's a place for both, right? There's a place to have like that traditional mindset of like, hey, you are the new guy, go get this stuff done. Mm-hmm. And there's also that mindset of like, hey, but I do respect you in the sense of like, hey man, like if you got an opinion, like talk to me about it. Yeah. What's up? Like how can we maybe do this job a little bit differently?
Got it.
Now, some guys aren't about that though. Some guys are like, hey, shut up, do your job. Oh. And it kind of goes,
you pick your battles.
Pick your battles, man. Gotcha. Yeah, that's really what it is. But yeah, as far as like how the culture is going, I mean, the culture is going to be the culture. The fire service is fire service.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the firefighter culture, but I'm assuming they're like, you guys are a family that lives. Here's how I see it.
Yeah.
You guys are a family that lives in a firefighter house or department. What do you call it?
It's a house.
A house.
Yeah.
And you guys see constant like trauma, constant. Mm-hmm. You guys are on the edge. I mean, it must be a certain type of people that just can live like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of gallows humor. So we call it gallows humor. So like, humor. Yeah, it's like just a dark sense of humor. So you'll see something traumatic, and then for some reason, like you're eating lasagna, and you're like, hey guys, wiggling lasagna at the table, and you're like, okay, we get it. We get it. And it's like, but like, like,
do you see a lot of trauma though?
But I feel like that's a coping mecanism.
It is though. It's right away. Like, it's just kind of like desensitizes us to like, damn, that was really messed up. But
you know what you just said, desensitizing us. I feel like, what was I watching last night? I was watching a lot. It was a rainy day, so I had a lot of time to myself, right? What movie was it? We watched
Terrifier.
Oh, I heard about that one. No. But basically, I forgot what movie it was. But basically, I thought like, holy, if I were to see like guts, me personally, if I see guts or bone right now, flesh, to me or my kids, that would be very, very traumatic to see because we don't see it often. We see it in movies,
sure,
but we don't see it in person.
And
I was like, man, how would it be for somebody that is in a certain career that sees that all the time, like a sheriff or a CHP, a firefighter, a cop, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or a paramedic. You see it all the time, right? To you, it's kind of like...
I wouldn't say like all the time, but it's definitely more significant, I guess. I guess we can see it more than the average person, I should say. Yeah. But I mean, good.
I feel like that's why by them seeing all that, because I know firefighters and they have a lot of mental issues too, right?
There's a big thing right now, big push for mental health for firefighters and first responders. Oh yeah, a huge one, which I think is really good because it's before, especially with the culture of, like, we'll call it public service, right? It was this like suck it up culture. Like if you want to cry about seeing something bad, and like maybe this job isn't for you.
Yeah, you signed up for this, deal with it.
Right. However, that's not really fair because yes, they did sign up for it. We did sign up for it, but that doesn't mean that one situation is not going to weigh heavy on you at a different time. And I think that's kind of what I am starting to see now within like public service is a big push. Like, hey, if you are feeling a certain type of way, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So now we even have like teams, And like teams will come in after like a really traumatic event and be like, hey, like, you know, do you guys need to talk about anything? And I think it's really cool because you'll see some of these guys, like, you know, I'll see grown men like just tear up and be like, I don't want to talk about it, but I have to talk about it. But here it goes, you know. And I've had to talk about certain calls because I mean, there's certain stuff that gets to you that you're just like, I don't want to carry that with me. Like that's a lot. That's a lot to carry. But it doesn't take away from the fact of like you're not able to do the job or not. It's just you had one or two calls that maybe you need to get off your chest, and that way you can help yourself continue doing your job. And that's kind of what I'm starting to notice. Like people are starting to lean towards now.
Gotcha.
And it's cool because now you're seeing more support. And so I think it's a huge push.
And talking about it more, you know what I mean? Like I'm surprised there isn't a like I guess there's legality issues, but I'm surprised there's no podcast of mental health in the service.
I think I'm pretty sure there is. There has to be. I haven't seen it myself.
That would be a great one.
Yeah,
especially because
in public service in general, or just
like in any traumatic type of service, like a cops,
military,
firefighter, anything that's strong. Because you see it on a given week, you'll see way more than we see. In a year.
Or just come get tattooed. We'll talk.
That's why. Well, you know, we are we keep busy. From the as a byproduct of that, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel, dude, I have no tattoos. I don't know if I ever told you that.
You have no tattoos?
Zero tattoos, and I've been tattooing for 15 years.
That's impressive.
But but what I do see is that maybe 7 to 8 out of 10 people come for a therapy session. You know what I'm saying? Like the result is a bonus. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The end product, but the process is what they come for.
I can see that
the
too.
Sensation. I don't know if you were as you were getting tattooed. Did you get like some sense of euphoria or your sense of like pause of stress?
Yeah, honestly, like it was very therapeutic. A lot of my friends that have tattoos, they were the ones that were like, "Oh, it's gonna be like therapy for you," and you know, like you're gonna love it, and you know, it's gonna hurt, it's gonna do this, it's gonna do that, and then, like I said, we started the tattoo, and I was like, all right, and kind of like just zoned in. And I guess because for me, like I enjoyed watching it start and then watching the progress. But it was also for me, like I have ADHD, so me watching him mix different tones and like going back and forth, I was just like, oh, this is cool. All right. and then like watching how it ended up on the skin, I was like, all right, cool. But it was very therapeutic for me because again, like at least for me, like the tattoo has meaning. So watching it actually get permanently placed, I was like, okay, cool. Like now this part of the story can't leave. And the reason why I got it in this place, a place where people could ask, is I want it to affect people in the positive way. I want to tell my story. If people want to be, you know, ask, you know, I don't mind telling my story because I think that, you know, everybody's story has a place to help somebody in the future, you know.
Do you feel like artists should go more into that? Like, instead of trying to act all hard and do all this and that, you know, like where they show more of that sensitive side to their clients to kind of help them cope through whatever they're going through when they come in for that kind of session?
Yeah, dude. I was just talking to Carlos. Carlos, you can be on the mic on this, huh? No, earlier I was like, you know what, dude? I realized is that psychology, we need as artists, we should learn more psychology. We should learn how to ask the right questions for clients, you know, and how to be an ear for them at the same time, but strategically in a sense where we're not prying, we're not feeling like a sense of like we're not disingenuous, you know,
right? And
I think that's an art form, and I think if you want to build a community of strong clientele, such as that you decided to come 2 days. An artist should take the time to learn about psychology, and so that because you're sitting in front of a client for 8 hours, if you're gonna do big pieces, right? That's a perfect time to practice that. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but psychology with the client, you know?
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna start learning more about psychology because I really want to be more of, I want to get the most out of the conversation with my clients, you know?
Right.
And I want to get the sense that, you know what, This was therapeutic, and not only was Ricky a great artist, but man, he made me feel some type of way. You know?
Yeah.
And that when you create that bond, bro,
Yeah.
you'll have way more clients. And it's not just about getting clients, but it's about the relationships you're gonna bond. Like, I want clients to call me up and be like, Ricky, how how are you, man? You know, how's this? Remember we talked about this? You know, that would be cool. That's next level to me.
Yeah.
I saw Romeo kind of do something like that too.
Romeo?
Romeo was here.
Man.
He's he had a walk-in and it was just me and him. And
Infinity signs?
I don't know what it was. She came in, she just wanted to get tattooed. I told Romeo, you can handle it. I went to the back and I came back. And when I walked through, I just saw Romeo hugging her and she was crying. I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, okay, I'm not gonna interrupt this. I'm
out there sauteing,
yeah.
huh?
So I don't know the whole story, but apparently she got some bad news. That's why she was getting tattooed. And then Romeo just helped her out by comforting her and listening to her. And that's what she needed that day.
Man.
And it took a lot of him for be like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have just been like, I don't care, man. Just let me get your tattoo and get paid.
Right. And there's a lot of shops that do that, right? A lot of shops that you walk in, like, I want to get a tattoo that means something to me. And then, all right, cool. Well, I'm booked until whatever. And then you're just like, oh, all right, well, you don't want to know what it means.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
but it's okay. Like, some people run their business that way. And that's because it's a business. But then, like I said, like you're saying too, like, when you build that bond with your clients, like, that's what helps the collectors come back.
It is a business, but there's levels to business. You know what I'm saying? Just like there's levels to, like, I want to say, like, a politician. A politician can be just a politician and say they're gonna do things, but then the actions that they do, if they really build relationships, those are the ones that are gonna grow.
Right.
Same with artists. I can tattoo people, and I don't get why. I'm not dissing any artist, you know, but I don't get why an artist would, at any case, put on headphones and just start tattooing, and then the client's just looking around.
Right.
Like, you're missing the whole point of a tattoo experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a person next to you.
Totally.
That guy can probably teach you something, or he or she can teach you something that's gonna better you.
Yep.
Have that open conversation. But once you put on those beats and just I work better with music. I understand. Have it low or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you're not tattooing a drapery. You're not doing it on paper. You're actually on a living person that has something to say.
Yeah.
Give them that respect. And that's one of my pet peeves, you know? And again, I have no tattoos, but I've been tattooing for 15 years, and I always just trip out on how people will pay me for them to draw on them.
Yeah.
And so I analyze that. I'm like, is it really the art? Let's think about that. Is it really the art? I would argue it's not about the art, bro. It's about them needing an image to fortify their situation.
Right. A lot of the times. Right? Yeah.
Whether the image could be subjectively good or bad. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When they walk out with that tattoo, it could be like, oh, I got a tattoo. And then everybody else is going to be like, well, that's okay. Some other people are going to be like, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. I can see this in them. Remember how you got that lady saying, like, that reminds me.
Yeah.
Other people are going to look at it and be like, that's cool.
Yeah.
So it's subjective, right?
Very much.
So I think we can remove the art aspect of it and really put in the human aspect. And I think that's where artists can grow. Right. If you get good at that.
And by you saying how we talk to them while they're doing the tattoo, I feel like that adds to that, how you're saying.
Yeah, definitely. Like, bro, if you know just a little bit more about them, and then when they come back and you continue on that, that's called rapport. That's called relationship building. Like then it's just gonna be like, Josh, just, man, I don't care, man. Just, I trust you. Just tattoo whatever, bro. What do you feel like doing? That's the ultimate. What is the
compliment?
Compliment for a tattoo for us. Mm-hmm. To be like, I don't know, man. I trust you. Just whatever you want.
Yeah.
What do you feel like doing, man? That when that day comes, I'm like dancing over here.
Oh yeah,
and we're super grateful that happens.
That's why I like to ask people, like how you're saying, like we had a whole conversation about it before.
Yeah.
Just because when I'm designing it, I want to know what I'm designing it for and the emotion I want to put into the piece. or because every piece has different emotion to it. They can mean different things depending how you place them and everything. And you're right. It's by knowing that, it gets me in a different mindset where I'm able to think differently for his arm, his placement.
Mm-hmm. That extra effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes that way though. It has to. I mean, when you have that kind of rapport, like they get, like you're saying, right? You gain. It's a gain, right? It's just like an earned respect.
Yeah.
And like people walk in and they have either like a very simple tattoo or maybe a more complex tattoo. At least for what I noticed when I sat down was once we kept on like just jiving and like rapping together and like, hey man, like, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm thinking. Cool. No, I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. I was like, okay. And as those little I'm thinkings were happening, I was like, I'm thinking I trust you, bro. Whatever. Just throw it on. At this point, I'm just coming back to kick it with you. Like,
and let me ask you something.
Yeah.
We're talking about the difference between the relationship of how you got to know Josh.
Yeah.
You can't get to know Josh through his portfolio.
No.
You can't. You have to actually meet him, right? So his portfolio has to attract you. So I understand that the art has to be on point.
Right.
You have to like it, right? You have to like, well, I like his tattoos. If you saw his portfolio, you saw his work on Instagram, and you're like, this is not really what I want. Sorry, Josh.
Yeah.
Then that's it. That's where it ends. You don't get to know Josh.
Right.
So that's a given. If you got to be good at the art. That's your gateway to building your community.
Right.
But you are not able to get to know Josh until you actually take the time.
Right.
And I think that's where the hook is. Be good at tattoos. And you can do good doing tattoos. But if you want to go to the next level, be good at people skills. Be good at networking.
And that's something that I think that in general life is, or like a lot of like the younger folks are not accustomed to, is like human interaction.
Because we're just on our phones the whole time.
Yeah. And then you lose that, like that being able to connect on different levels, communication. We see guys now, like younger guys that are coming into the job and cool dudes. But like when they talk to people, it's like, oh my gosh, like you don't know, like
can't look you straight in the eye.
Yeah, you gotta throw some compassion out there, man. Like he's just having a rough time. Yeah. Even though it's not an emergency or whatever, like still having a rough day. Just sometimes you just need to sit next to him and be like, hey man, another day's rough, so how can I help you? Like what's up? And it goes like for you guys too, like, hey, like I know that your tattoo means a lot. Like how can I help it come to life? Like those little things, that I think that he had said at some points in our conversations were like, all right, well, I want to make this come to life for you. Yeah. It wasn't like I want to make this come to life for my portfolio.
Right.
Like I could totally use this as like a selling point to get more clients. It was like, no. Specifically for you, like I see this being very serious. So I think I can do this. Yeah. And then I think I can do this was like, okay, I know I can do this. Like, do you want me to do this? And that was like, again, boom. All right. Like I'll be in your chair next month, whatever.
Bam.
Yeah. So
that's dope, bro. It's dope to hear from your perspective, because we're going on our third apprentice, and I said it the other day. If anybody here didn't know how to freehand draw, they wouldn't be here. Okay, so that's step one. Learn how to draw. Because this is a visual service that we're providing onto a client. Once that's taken care of, then the real process starts.
Right.
How to become a highly skilled communicator.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to teach here. And that's the battle, bro. Not everybody's great at communicating. But as Josh just mentioned about Romeo, man, shout out to Romeo that he did that. Giving a hug to a client is just like, if that meant the whole day for her and it changed her life, that's communicating at its best.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And so there has to be all that to be a great tattooer, and to get a great client like yourself.
Well, I think in general, just being a good person to a good person. You know what I mean? Like people forget that word empathy goes a long way. Like everybody's struggling out there right now, right? We got like all these different things going on in the world. Like people can't afford groceries, much less presents. And sometimes people are just having a bad day. I mean, I get it, dude. Why? Because I'm human. I've had bad days. And sometimes like all you can do is give grace to like a stranger and be like, hey man, like I know you're having a bad day. You good? Like, you know. And even in that sense, like for Rome, like that's cool, you know, to sit there and give a hug. I mean, those go a long way, you know. And any job you do, my job, your job, you know, if someone just takes the time to be like, hey man, you need a hug. I've given more hugs that have helped me on different events at work. I think with people that are just like, why'd you give that person a hug? Like, are you, bro? Like, that's weird. I'm like, why is that weird? Like, showing compassion's weird. I'm like, I don't know. Homie's mom just passed away. I'm gonna go give him a hug. You know, like, this isn't just like, hey, sorry, good luck. Like, sometimes you got to take the time and be like, hey man, like, how can I help you guys? Like, how can I ease this process for you guys? You know what I mean? Like, how can I help you have a good experience nonetheless of a bad experience? Yeah. You know,
and a hug is like the ultimate icebreaker.
It really can be, man.
Like, you're going into somebody's personal space, dude, and
they're letting you in.
And they're letting you in.
100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's the ultimate, like, communicator of saying, I don't have to say anything.
Right.
Just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like, hey,
like,
bro.
Hey,
just
come home.
Yeah.
And you get that connection. That's deep, bro. I'm trying to think when was the last time I gave a hug to somebody. Other than my wife,
I give them out like candy, bro. I give them out all the time. Like, people always laugh at me. I'll be like, hey, you want a hug? They'd be like, nah, bro, I'm good. I'm like, for real though, trust me. Yeah, they're like,
they'll make your day.
Yeah, for real though. Give me a time you got a hug and didn't smile. You know what I mean?
Are you a family of huggers? Like, are your family? Or just you?
Not really, man. You know, it's funny. I never used to be a hugger until I started really working on like myself. Like, I used to be this like really like hard up, like just really stoic kind of person.
You're a cholo, dog.
No,
with the brocha and everything.
Oh,
hey, if you guys, all right.
Yeah, talk about that. Talk about that.
Let me bring this a little up. So when I tattooed him and I met him, he had a brocha. Yeah, so you guys don't know what a brocha is.
Let's show a picture right here of him.
It's the big mustaches, right?
Give us that comic one, okay?
Yeah, I'll give you that one right now. Just me on the space shuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, man.
How did that come for you? Like,
what's up?
Where you decided to do it? Like,
just a mustache? Yeah. Like how I like that style?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I've always had a mustache like that. I've always like grown them out. And then one day I was just like, I was actually at Chino State Prison with this dude. He was really cool. His name's Kike. And homie had a huge brocha, just like over both legs,
like over everything.
And I was like looking at him, I'm like, bro, that's a good mustache. I think I found my goal. Yeah. And so, you know, me and Kike were there, and all we were doing at this prison, we were going out on all these little we were going out on the inmates around the yard. So at like break time or whatever, there was like a big event that we were a part of. I was not locked up. We were just at this event, and the event was that we were going to go and talk to inmates about God and about faith. And so Kike was just like this old veterano that kind of gave his life over to God, and then we hit it off. And so after that, like that's when I saw his mustache, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a brocha like Kike for sure. And so when I grew it out, I was like, okay, it's working out. And then people were like, I had my flannels on, and people were like, hey, like I would never guess you do what you do. And I was like, I throw a beanie on. They're like, no, you can't wear a beanie. You can't get stopped by the cops. So, yeah, man, it was a good mustache for sure. I don't regret shaving it, but I definitely am probably gonna bring it back probably pretty soon. Yeah.
Can you grow a whole beard or?
Yeah, I actually can.
Those jeans.
I could probably pull it up for you right now.
Bro, he looks like a lumberjack.
Yeah,
showed me.
Yeah. Let's see if yeah, that's right. I did show you that picture.
Because you had flannel on and everything.
Yeah, that was a good mustache. Man, let me see if I can find, or a good beard, I should say. If I can find it.
Can you grow a beard? Well, you're growing it now.
I was like, I have it. I can't grow a full like he can, but it's there.
Just use some little markers that these fucking barbers do.
They throw it all up in the hair. This is one picture.
Let's see, bro.
Right there.
Oh shit, dude, that looks you look way different.
It's a pretty beefy one. I don't know. I'll show you guys that one.
Beast of a beard.
But yeah, I can grow one, but I can't grow it now with work. They only do mustaches.
You know what's crazy?
Mustaches?
It completely changes the way you look.
Everybody says that,
bro.
Like
I had it twice.
Yeah,
like I was like, that's not him.
Oh, dude, when I had like the curl one, the curl mustache, I was like, I want to go pick up my nephew from school. I couldn't get by the school security. They were like, no, go back to your car. Just get out of here. I was like, all right, my bad.
Oh man.
So
he was a cholo.
Yeah, never a cholo. I always hung out with like the punks.
Yeah.
So I always had like a mohawk or like something crazy going on my hair. Yeah, the cholos had their own for sure bit of trouble. I was like, I could not get in trouble that much.
Did you grow up around here? Or?
No, I grew up in Hacienda Heights, La Puente, around that area. And then like always being a knucklehead, I ended up in like El Monte or, out in like East LA somewhere with family or whatever. But then I moved out here when I was 19. That's when like my life changed because I went through my own like hardships. Like I was living out of my car, going to EMT school, and my sister called me and she was just like, "Hey, like, I know you're a knucklehead by trade," and I'm like, "Yep, yep." And so she was like, "Why don't you come out to Rancho and start over?" So I was like, "What am I gonna do in Rancho? I don't."
Rancho changed your life, bro.
Yeah, man, I really did though. I really did though. I was like, what do you do in Rancho? Like, I don't hang out with those kind of kids.
Right.
What year was this?
Was like, what, man, that was like 2010.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about 2010, I think. Maybe? Nah. Yeah, about 2010. So I came out here and then she gave me an ultimatum and changed my life, man, for the better. Because I was a knucklehead, man. I was out there just partying. I was out there doing like rave promotions out in Hollywood with my friends and like just completely different person, man.
Could we ask what the ultimatum was?
Yeah, the ultimatum. So I was living at her house and so she was like, cool, like, you're living at my house. This is nice. It's nice having you here. And I was like, yeah, man, appreciate it. And so she was like, hey, so you got to go to school. And I was like, I dropped out of high school. So that's going to be a no.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, you got to go to school for something. You can't live here for free. You got to get a job, which I already was working on that at that time. You got to finish your EMT, which I'd taken the test twice at that point, failed twice. I had my third attempt because I'm just terrible at taking tests. And then what was the other one? I got to get involved with something. So I was like, what does somebody at 19 years old get involved with? Like volunteer work? Like go to a shelter? Like does Rancho have shelters? Like, I don't know. This place is pretty nice.
Yeah.
And then it was just like, go to school and pay rent. And I was like, all right. So the job and pay rent, that's kind of coinciding each other. So I got a job at Buffalo Wild Wings out here in Rancho.
That's right.
Yeah, probably back in the day. Yeah. So I was back there doing, busboy stuff and whatever. And I got involved with a program for the youth through the fire service, through the fire department here in Rancho. Is called the Explorer program. And so they take like younger kids, they show them what the fire department does, and they pretty much kind of give them like a map of like how to be successful in getting the job or just be successful at being a good person, being outside of the fire service. And so I was like, all right, cool. Got into that, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But and then getting into school was like, man, like, what am I going to go to school for? Because I didn't want to be a firefighter. Like, I was like, I grew up around firefighters that were not cool guys. They were just like super like arrogant, cocky, whatever, right? And it wasn't until I met some guys here at the department locally, Rancho, and they were like, hey, man, like, you don't got to be like that. You can be the difference.
Bro.
And I was like,
speak on that.
Yeah, I was like, okay. And they're like, we could use a guy like you, like, the fire service, not like them specifically, but, like you're a kid that you were just living out of your car 4 months ago. Now you're on our program. Now you're doing this and that. Now you're passing your classes. Now you're doing all these things. And you're flipping your life around. Like you're kind of on track to kind of like really changing your life. And I was like, yeah, I guess, sure. In my mind, I'm just like, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble, bro.
I just don't want to get kicked out.
I'm just trying to get kicked out, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I like the place that I'm staying at. I really appreciate the help. And so, but then it became a mindset flip, right? And now it became this thing, this drive of like, oh, I can really do this. Like, I can really change my whole outlook on life. And I went from like, being that knucklehead that was like, I'm not gonna go to school. I'm just gonna work at a warehouse or whatever the case was, to the point of like, I'm not taking no for an answer. Like, I'm gonna get this job.
Nice.
And I went through all the hoops and the struggles of going to school and, failing again and failing and getting back up and failing and getting back up and failing and getting back up and failing. And finally, like, you get back up and then you don't fail for like a couple times, and then you fail again, But that's like that's the whole part of like the process, right?
Yeah.
You have to fall on your face enough times to like realize what it's like to be on your face, to then realize like, oh, I'm not on my face just yet. Like I'm on my knee. Let me stand back up. So yeah, man, once I had changed my life from that part on, I started meeting people along the way that, kids that were like, yo, like how do you do what you do?
Right.
And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I wake up and I choose it. Like you wake up and you choose, you have to make the choice every day. Like, I want to be better than yesterday, or I don't want to do anything more or less than yesterday. Both have an effect on your life.
Yeah.
So you're either going to choose to be hungry and you're going to get up and go, or you're going to choose and be mediocre and watch the guy that's hungry pass you up. So the only competition you got to beat is in the mirror. But outside of the mirror, when you leave the door, there's somebody out there hungry. You got to be more hungry. And so that's what kind of kept my drive going, was like I'd get up and I'd go run a mile. And then I'm like, somebody's running 2. I start running 2 miles. And I was not like an athletic kid.
Right.
I was like completely like, the partier every weekend, the smoker. I used to smoke a pack a day cigarettes with my friends. Easy, like to the point where I was like, I crushed up my cigarettes one day and I was like, I don't want this anymore. I want this job. And because I don't want my kids to struggle like I struggled with, with our family. I don't want to go through that again.
Yeah.
And so that's what kept the drive going. And then my sister was just like noticing, like, she's like, okay, like you found a drive. I'm going to leave you alone. Like, I'm not going to get in your way. But then she would catch me too, because I'd have days where I'm just like, I'm not motivated. And then she'd check me. She's like, oh, okay. Like, life's hard, huh? And I'm like, dude, honestly, yeah, like this schoolwork stuff is not for me. And she was just like, she's like, yeah, because, you're 16 with a kid, working 2 jobs, going to school full time. I get it. It's really tough. And I'm like looking around like, I ain't got no kids. Hold on. Like, oh, are you saying that it's not that hard? And she's like, I'm saying it's not that hard. And I'm like, right, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So
she was your first mentor type of.
Oh yeah. She probably saved my life, to be completely honest, man. Yeah. She was like what I call my second mom.
That's cool, man. What you mentioned right there is, I guess you made non-negotiables, is what I hear like on a podcast. You know what I'm saying? You just said, I'm going to get to this point, non-negotiable, and you're not going to negotiate anything else other than that, And being in that Explorer program is something that I heard from you that actually excites me, because that's what we want to do for tattooing, man.
Okay.
We want
mentorship program.
A mentorship. We want to go starting in January. We're going to offer to a limited amount of kids, because we don't have that much space, right? But they're going to be kids where we have the potential to change their direction. You know what I'm saying? Because, hearing your story, you say you were going a different route. You were doing raves, all this extra stuff, right? But all you needed is somebody to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Why are you doing that? This is better. This is,
your potential is greater.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we want to do.
Right.
We want to create a little mentorship program where we tell kids, like, obviously they got to have the art skills for it, because that's where we're basing it off of. But if there's a kid that doesn't know how to draw and just needs that opportunity, we'll probably get them in. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But we want to be at a place where somebody can just say, like, you know what, man, I was going this way, but because I joined this program with them, I changed my life,
Right.
And maybe in the future, if you're down to come and, motivate them, that they can probably be firefighters too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's my biggest thing that I like doing for kids. We get kids a lot.
Yeah.
Like we get like a lot of like mental health kids. Parents will call us like, hey, my kid's suicidal, or, and I'm in the back of the ambulance at times with these kids, and I share my story too. Like, hey man, like, guess what? Like, I got depression too, bro. Like, what's up? Let's talk. And they're just like, wait, what? I'm like, I know. And I got a job and I got blessings on blessings, but I struggle.
I'm human.
What's up? Let's talk. And then you see like the kid be like, oh, so it doesn't get easier. I was like, I didn't say that. It does get easier. I'm just letting you know, like, you can talk to somebody that understands. I'm not going to tell you that you're not, like, your reasoning for being sad isn't enough. So I think you can do that with that opportunity. You guys are gonna.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do that. You know what I just thought about that? You guys are like the real life superheroes. Kids see you guys as I was thinking about that right now. People aspire to be a firefighter because they believe they're heroes. I don't know if you ever.
We definitely get 5 fingers when we get a wave, not like some
Not
other
like
people.
the
Yeah,
others?
yeah, not the other
Not the
ones.
2
Yeah,
finger, 1
yeah,
finger?
not 1 finger.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean?
But
yeah.
I think kids see, like if I were to tell my son today, hey, guess what? I interviewed a firefighter. Bro, he'd flip his mind. He'd be like, what the hell? They see you guys, younger generation, or even kids, as a firefighter, as the real superheroes, dude. And so it only makes sense that you guys have the power to mentor kids and help them
influence them.
that. And influence them.
Yeah.
That's the word.
It's definitely. So I used to work at a busier station that was more like in a demographic, like a hood demographic, and that's when I used to love it because you can talk to kids. Like I grew up in like neighborhoods kind of like that, where like when you're running around or you get yourself caught, relatable, yeah, for sure, like lower income as they call them or whatever, and you meet these kids that are like, oh, like what do you know about this? Da, da, da. And you're like, hold up, man. You start singing along to Tupac with them. And they're like, looking at you like, aren't you a firefighter? Like, right, man, we still get down with the get down too. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So
that's dope.
Yeah, man. So, but it's all about being relatable.
It's all about being
relatable, and you got to open yourself up to being relatable, and that's like I think the hardest part with our culture now is like people don't want to open themselves up to trying to even be relatable. It's like, oh, I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you were there. Maybe they don't want to be there anymore.
Facts.
Like, how are you gonna grab them out? Like, maybe they're drowning.
Yeah.
Put your hand out. See if maybe they want to come up for water, or come up for air, I should say. Come out of the water, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I can't wait till we have, if we change one life, man, it's going to be worth our effort, because I wish when I was 16, 17, somebody came to me like, dude, you know how to draw? You want to go into this mentorship program that just go there once a week.
Oh, yeah.
And just listen to them. That's it. That's all you got to do.
That would have been the goal. Hey,
Bro,
get your grades up to go draw.
You know what I'm saying?
I would have been way better at school.
Yeah.
1,000%.
And there isn't anything like that I know. Do you know about any people?
No.
And I think that's what we're going to do in Inland Empire. We are going to do it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea, because honestly, there's a lot of talented kids that are going through really rough housing or living situations, and their outlet is art, because one, I mean, you always got paper and a pencil.
Facts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I had napkins, bro. I had a roll of those napkins.
Yeah.
And I would get a big pen.
Oh,
and
yeah.
my mom was cooking, and I was finishing my homework, and I would just grab a piece and then grab another piece, start writing, draw little writers. An hour later, guess what? The whole roll was done. I went through it all, just scribble, scribe, and throw it away, right?
You got a whooping.
And then my mom looked at me and she like, cabrón, estamos gastando las napkins, I'm like, but the big pen writes good on that soft paper. And she didn't understand that, but because I did that was my outlet of getting it. I didn't have this fancy Strathmore paper that I'm looking at right now,
Yeah, the blessings that come from it now, you know what I mean?
And I just had that, and that's where I kept practicing, and I always recall that story, and there's probably other kids that are doing the same thing, and then I'd be like, we could help,
But another thing is also to show them that, like, follow your passion. A lot of these kids, they're naturally talented, but parents, we always had that stigma that artists don't make good money, artists don't, starving artists and all that. It's not true. There's a lot of potential in art where you can make more money than you can working a 9-to-5, at a construction company or doing.
Well, not everything's about money either, though.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like,
but just being happy, because a lot of people give up what they're happy about to go make that money. You know what I mean?
And that's where you lose passion and you lose drive in jobs that people have now, and they're just like, as a job.
Yeah.
It's not a passion for me. And I think that you find people have better productivity when they are passionate about coming to work, about doing their things, like artists, whatever
the case would be.
Yeah. When people start chasing money, you start to realize they start to realize waking up to go to work is terrible.
Yeah.
But when you wake up for your passion, it's like, man, I'm up before my alarm clock. I'm out here trying to chase to get better, you know. And the money comes later.
It's a byproduct of it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. I'm glad that we're able to offer that in the near future, and just you're hearing your story about the Explorers, like
it's gonna be iconic academy.
Oh,
we'll figure something out. But I guess it should be in our responsibility to pass down some knowledge to people, especially when We're not older than, we're not in the older age range, but there's still people under us. And
Right.
There's people still that are starting like what we started 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And we could teach them. And if they're down to listen, they grow.
Well, like there's like a saying, right? Like people don't plant a seed to watch the tree grow. They plant the seed because somebody later down the line is gonna benefit from the shade. Right. Nobody ever sees the whole tree grow when you plant your seed. Right.
That's true.
And it's all about, but somebody one day is gonna sit under the tree and be like, I really am thankful for somebody planted a seed, so I can sit right here and draw. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
No, man, that's dope, dude. And the last part of your tattoo, you got the Jesus piece, just your faith. You're saying?
Yeah, faith. So I've always I grew up with faith. So since I was a young kid, I always went to church. Always fell away from church, like everybody else probably does, and you kind of go through your ups and downs. But the one thing that I've always noticed for myself is like the furthest I go away from my faith and the furthest I go away from God is usually when I catch myself, in probably some of the hardest of hardships or my lowest in my depressions, really, like where I've caught myself like, man, like this depression's kicking me in the butt. Like, what did I change? I probably am doing more of this and less of that. And so this was just my reminder after, this is like, my last battle with a really, really bad depression was, don't stray too far from where you're safe. Like you know where your refuge is, you know where you should be. So why are you playing with yourself? Why are you kidding yourself and get back to where you need to be? So this was like kind of like my reminder to myself, stay close to faith and remember that, your angels are always looking out for you. But at some point too, you have to have a responsibility to look out for yourself.
Damn, that's true.
You want to talk about a little bit? We're talking about what we're going to do in the inside.
Oh yeah,
because I know that adds to the story as well.
Yeah, so the plans for the inside, we're talking about doing a imagery of an angel, either fighting off a demon. However, the demon is not going to be like most people think, right? Demons and in any kind of light or anything that takes you away furthest from faith, it's never ugly,
right?
It's never going to be scary. It's never going to be gory. It's always something that drives you away, whether really beautiful women or maybe, a bottle, or maybe, whatever your vice is,
distraction,
whatever it's always shiny, right? Yeah. Whether it's money, whatever. So for me, I'm hopefully going to finish this out with, an angel, with a weapon and a beautiful other angel who will be the demon. Because it's always going to be like a beautiful one pull me away, or, holding a glass of wine, or a good night out that's going to get me caught up in something I shouldn't be getting caught up in, or, also doing another, we're going to do like an all-seeing eye. I think we're talking about on the inside here, just because, God's always watching. That's the biggest thing for me is that remember, like, no matter what you're going to get into, like, you're never being unwatched. And then we're going to kind of talk about maybe doing like a lighthouse through a storm kind of thing, because I do enjoy the fact that he likes, photorealism. I think he can make it look really cool on a painting kind of sketch. So we'll see how it works out, but hopefully back-to-back days of getting beat up again, knock it out.
Or you get that ditch.
Yeah, getting that crevasse there since it's French.
That's dope, man. That's dope that you have it all planned out and it makes sense. I'll bring it back a little bit yesterday too. Damn, a lot of things happened to me yesterday.
Yeah.
I was drawing
philosophized yesterday.
For real. I was just like enlightened and shit. Bro, I went to sleep at 3 a.m. I woke up at 7, and I feel good. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Had a little whiskey.
At 3?
A little one, just one.
Respect.
Well, good shot.
I'm not even mad. I'm impressed.
I'm impressed myself, bro. That I'm like on it. But before my daughter went to sleep, she likes to draw and stuff, and she saw that I was drawing this pin sketch that we're all entering the little contest within.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And so I started yesterday on one, and it's a woman with glasses, and it has slashes through. There's a rose, and then there's above it. For some reason, I put 2 angels: a woman naked, angel hugging the guy.
Okay.
And my daughter went over there, and she's like, Dad, that's a nice drawing. what is the story behind it? So she's understanding stories now, you know. So I had to make something up on the fly, but I made something up that intentionally.
By the looks of it, it's cold.
Subliminally, I had done it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't just put images to look cool.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, this girl. She goes, oh, she looks pretty, but she looks sad. And the girl has glasses, and she has this like, you know, the eyes are like she had like just cried.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, you know, it's a girl that she's kind of sad because, you know, she had a relationship and I said something about, I said it really well just on the fly, right?
Sure.
Right here, I probably,
Sure.
I'm messing it all up, but I said, you know, this woman, she was in love with a guy, and now she's going through it, but she has to, and there's a rose in the bottom because she has to believe that she's beautiful no matter what. And then she's like, oh, okay, I like that idea, Dad. You know, but I thought she was gonna like hit me for, why is the girl naked? Because you see her butt, you know what I'm saying? It's like one of those cherub angels. But she just went back, and I was like, that's cool, man. So the point is that any drawing we do can interpret any meaning as long as it makes sense. And you have images that I've seen, you know, people get, but it doesn't matter. You put your own story behind it, your own meanings, and that's what tattooing is about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. As long as you convey the image and it makes sense to you,
brings a story to life.
Anything can be telling a story. You know what I'm saying? That's the power of images.
100%. 100%.
So yeah, man.
We got a deep conversation today.
It was really good. It was really good.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed coming out, man.
You're good, bro.
Yeah.
You're good. We're going to have to bring you into our mentorship program one day to inspire them.
Man, let me know. I'm always down to talk
to tattoo artists / firefighters, bro.
Nah, just call me Freddie, bro. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, he is an artist himself. So.
He is. Yeah, there you go. I think that's why you mesh with us, man, because you understand the whole.
Well, that's why it took so long to find you guys or find a spot to get it done, man. Because like I look at people's work and I'm like, I hate to nitpick, but like I don't like your line work. Or I'd look, I'd be like, I don't like your shading.
Yeah.
Or I don't like the gradients you guys are using. I'm like, dang, like, maybe you're not my guy.
And it's all in your right. You know what I'm saying? It really is. And artists should not dwell on that or take offense. Like, I'm sorry, you know, you're not going to be loved by everybody. Right. If you did, you'd be a god in this. You know what I'm saying? Right. But that's half the battle. Like there's going to be artists for you. There's going to be clients for you. And there's going to be clients that are not for you.
And there's just different styles. It just comes down to style, man. Whatever style you're feeling.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And eventually you're going to find the people that really love your style. You know what I'm saying? So that's just a little tip for you guys. You know, if you guys are watching, you're young artists, just don't take it so personal, you know? Keep pushing art. Eventually you'll find your tribe that goes with you, you know?
Well, the cool thing about that is, too, you notice, too, with people, that, especially like your new artists that are coming up, right? Like they have like these, what are they, like the new school kind of looking tattoos. And all you need is one person to like your stuff. And they have like a group of 5 people that are like looking for the same stuff.
Yeah.
And then they have another group of 5. It's like just a tree branch, right?
That's exactly how it is.
Before you know it, you got like 30 people are looking at your page.
Yeah.
You know, at least what I've noticed.
That's exactly how it is.
It comes on timing. So
find those like-minded people, and then they'll tell their like-minded people. And before you know it, your tribe is growing. And you take care of those people.
Oh, for sure.
And you remember who referred who, and you say, thanks. By the way, man, thanks for bringing so-and-so. Oh, I didn't even know he was going to show up. I told him like 3 months ago, and now he's there. Well, you know what? Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, that's it.
He's here.
And that's all. You know?
Yeah, man.
Cool, man. You want to...
Go for it. This was a really good episode.
This was a good episode, guys. We went deep with the collector. We're going to definitely bring in more collectors in. He's just a collector that just came to mind by us, that just obviously, as you could tell, he spoke very well of his experience. We got to know him. Not only is
I read a dictionary before I showed up.
And this was him without whiskey, imagine.
Yeah, this is me sober. It's just tea.
You know, we're thinking about, I was telling, we should start, somebody had told me we could start there's a way to host white label whiskey. We're thinking about doing like a whiskey brand, iconic whiskey. Since you're you're an aficionado of whiskey,
I would like to.
Thinking about that, try that. Side note,
let me know.
But anyway, we'll let you guys know about the iconic whiskey one day. You know, we start that. We try to do something different. But thank you guys for watching. If you guys saw any topics in here that you guys like and you guys want to hear more of, like whether it's mental health, the process of choosing artists, even just how interaction between us, just give us a comment, subscribe below. It helps us for us to grow, and we'll get more collectors in. We get a lot of them. We're just highlighting one of the great ones today, and that's it, man. Thank you for watching.
We'll see you guys next week.